So let's talk about how you define this idea of Supergirl syndrome.
Yeah. So first of all, I do want to give credit where credit is due. I heard this term and fell in love with it when I read, I believe it was the book Girls and Sex by Peggy Orenstein. And she's really well known for her speaking out on femininity and the patriarchy and culture and media representation and how that affects our girls, leading them to overachieve and to be multitaskers and to really focus on people pleasing and not so much on themselves or even emotional expression. So I heard this term and kind of just took it and ran with it. And how I would define it in maybe a simple way is it is this pressure or this responsibility that girls are feeling to be all things to all people all of the time. And that's essentially a boulder on their shoulders. And I don't know too many girls who are, free of that pressure that they feel. And whether the pressure comes from culture and society or it comes from family and friends or their community involvement, essentially that all gets internalized and that becomes the pressure that she puts on herself.
Yeah,
And
I know as a mom,
around, right. It is what it is, right?
And I think there's probably a lot of mothers listening who feel that really deeply because I know, I love this quote in your book where it says, she's polished, pleasing, placating, performative, and perfect, but underneath she is exhausted because it feels like we're supposed to wear, as a woman, not when I was a kiddo, although it had to start there, right? It started somewhere. Of feeling like we have to be a good mom, we have to be an excellent psychologist, a business owner, a wife, like all of these pieces. And we have to do it really well and look like we're doing it with no effort. And so the question is, where the hell does this start?
That's it. So if it was just like be busy and do everything, that would be one thing. But it's like, no, do everything really well. And now the kicker is make it look like it's effortless.
And you have to look good. You have to look good and polished doing it.
Yeah. And don't look tired and don't look stressed and forget about your anxiety and your feelings and your real self. Like it's insane pressure. And I think that I was able to put all these ideas together from personal experience. Of course, I feel that pressure and always have. But it's just the conversations that I have with girls, the little girls, the teen girls, the moms now. I work with young women. And it's like, they're all saying the same thing. It's so much. And I'm tired. I'm stressed. I'm overwhelmed. And I've had enough. Like, it's too much. And that's when you often see the rise in mental health concerns or just procrastination. Just like, I'm done. Like, it's so much. I'm stopped from doing anything.
Okay. So where do you think, based on your research and your clinical work, like, where do you think this comes from? Like, I can tell you, for me, there were a lot of pressures, I think, obviously to do well for my parents. Like, there was like, you must achieve. That's a very German focus. In my culture, that was very much driven. But I also got the message, like, I had to learn how to cook and I had to look a certain way. Like, my brother never had that pressure. He was never told he couldn't wear certain things or, dress a certain, like, I don't ever remember conversations about my brother's body. Or like his weight, or like, right? Or what he couldn't wear to school.
I don't think it comes from any one thing. I think that's the problem, is that it's multifaceted. So yes, it's culture and it's society and it's family and it's friends and it's our people and our peers and then ourselves. So it is, I see a lot of things in circles. It's like coming from all angles. But I think why we're maybe noticing it more, or there's this uptake, or why are girls so busy, so stressed, so overwhelmed, is definitely the overarching time that they're spending on their phones and social media.
Okay.
So it's like, I think of it really simply, like in my grade 2 classroom, there were 30 people that I had to look at and 30 people looking at me. So that felt like some pressure. I was like teacher's pet, like good at a lot of things. So I did feel like that pressure started early, but that's 30. Now there's the world. There are billions. And it's like, okay, that's a lot. And so it's everything I feel has just gotten magnified and intensified. And I think that's why it kind of seems like, why are suddenly girls so, pressured? I don't think it's suddenly. I think it's always been there. I just think it's magnified.
Yeah. So with the rise of things like Snapchat and TikTok and Instagram, these girls are not on Facebook. That's archaic. I'm on Facebook, but
maybe some.
Right. There's some of these, even Instagram, most of them wouldn't be on, but they would be on other platforms. Is the idea that maybe it's like being on a stage and having to present yourself in such a way that you're perceived as likable, so all the likes they're counting. They're also looking at the filters, like how do I look physically, and which leads to likes, and maybe it's also staging, like to show they're busy and that they're doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, so what they see is a lot of girls looking good and performing and achieving and accomplishing and being quote unquote successful. How can they not want that too? And I don't think that's all bad, but I think that there is so much focus, and I speak about this in the book, of kind of keeping up this image. I call it the good girl persona. And that's one of the 8 pressures that I unpack, but it's looking good, it's saying the right thing, it's making the good choices, it's keeping up this idea of like, I am good and shiny and talented and all of the things that I'm quote unquote trained to be. And I'm not saying any of those things are bad, but I'm saying it's at the cost of her truest, most authentic self. So as girls are seeing all these perfect images and all of this success and the achievements and the accomplishments of other people and influencers and celebrities, they're trying to match it. But what they're doing is they're creating this perfect and polished self. And what they're not able to do is make mistakes, fail, show all of their feelings, share their secrets. There are the parts of them that are just less shiny, but so human. And so I feel like very early on, there's this disconnect. The self that I'm showing you, look how good I am, because I want attention, approval, and I want to keep up to everyone else. But this true self of who I really am just gets smaller and smaller. And my belief is this is the root cause of anxiety. Because I'm not allowed to be real, there's a disconnection and a separation. And so my real self gets smaller and smaller and more hidden to the point that I don't really know who I am. I don't know that I can do things, and I don't trust myself. That's like the core problem, I would say.
Okay, with our girls that have this kind of Supergirl syndrome. So what I'm hearing is there's a lack of authenticity because they can't bring their true parts, the parts that are suffering, the parts that maybe are messy, the parts that are fit some kind of box that they maybe don't fit into. And they suppress that, and then they don't feel safe, they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard.
Yeah. And then the pressure, in that weird way, the pressure becomes greater because I have to keep up who you think I am. I have to keep up who I should be. But where is her true self? That's messy, silly, angry, frustrated, jealous. Like, this is just real. I think we will do girls such a service, and we can be so supportive by encouraging, I just call it her whole self, or the whole girl ideology. So I love when they succeed. I love when they're, putting time into their effort, or they're practicing self-care. All of that is great. And I love that they yell when they're mad, or that they show me they're frustrated, or they say, oh, I made a mistake. What do I do? Or I'm feeling stressed out or overwhelmed. Like, I like the raw goods, I call it. I like to see all of it and validate that as much as the easier qualities or ways of being, right? It's harder to have a conversation about envy or frustration or hurt or grieving than it is about, her joy, happiness, things that she's proud of, and how she's succeeding. I just think they're harder conversations and they take more time, but that's a nice balance.